would certainly help that out as we...
Just as we cut.
Oh, we missed it. We missed the...
It's fine. So we are going to be going straight into game number 1. But yeah, I think DrJay recently joined Space Station Gaming as well, along with Ant. And those two, you know, both having good runs here.
Not just Ant. They just announced a new pickup on Twitter.
How long ago?
20 minutes?
20 minutes.
Oh, okay. So there's a reason I've not seen this.
Yeah.
That's good.
Mr. Navi
Oh,
yeah.
that's a spicy team.
Also, the best-looking team in the world now.
Yeah, G2. You know.
Purely off the back of Navi. Like, it doesn't
Navi,
matter.
that's actually true. Yeah, Navi's good looks just eclipse all others combined. It's game number 1 though. Neirea on the aggro druid. DrJay on the mage. What do you make of this matchup? It's really weird, isn't it?
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't have a huge amount of experience in this matchup in the new meta. Tempo Mage is a deck I played around with a little bit after Team LoL really started smashing with it. Just tested it out a bit, but I wasn't running into Aggro Druid when I played it. Aggro Druid, cards on the table. I have not played a single game of it this expansion. So
I haven't played a single game of Druid.
You haven't played a single game of any Druid?
Nope.
Oh, wow.
I tried like Infinite N'Zoth, Astral Tiger Druid, but that's about it.
Yeah, I played Astral Tiger, N'Zoth Druid. I played J Druid. I've played Big.
Oh yeah, and Big Druid.
And I played Big with and without Okart, but I haven't played Aggro.
I'd like to say I played Miracle Druid, but just messed up over and over again with Miracle Druid would be a better way of putting it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie though. I'm gonna play some Big Druid and some of Eloise's list as well, if if I can get hold of it, because that list was kind of Big Druid, I guess, but just had a lot of cool other stuff in it that I definitely want to try out. I think there's a lot of potential in there, but with this matchup, both decks can go very, very quickly indeed, but one is way more minion focused than the other.
Yeah, if you want Theorycraft, I imagine Druid gets there most of the time, unless the mage is running Frost Nova, which most are not. Frost Nova can probably be a huge tool in this matchup, just to get a few minions to dunk, and then later on, if you've lost ball control, just get that free turn that you need to get your Luneth powering through and pick up the burn that you need. So I would give it to the aggro druid as a guess, but I haven't checked stats, I haven't done any testing, so if I'm wrong, I hold my hands up and apologize.
You are a man of your word. You do admit when you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's just difficult for the mage to get control of the board in the early game. That's something that, obviously, all the extra little bits of chip damage really does add up over time, and I don't think DrJay will ever actually find a good turn to play the Luneth.
Yeah, I think the Luneth comes more out of necessity than anything. There will be a turn very shortly at 6 mana or more where there are no other cards to play, or maybe one other card.
Right.
So then you just say, okay, here's my turn where I skip the Frostbolt to face randomly and ping, drop the Luneth and say, right, now on average, that's something I'd love to know actually. On average, in any given matchup, how many turns post a Luneth does a game go? That's actually pretty interesting.
Probably like 2 or 3.
Like, how many draws are required for the mage to win? You know, on an
almost certainly less than 3, right? Because come 4 or 5, you're fatiguing yourself anyway. So
yeah,
it would be probably somewhere around there. This turn, by the way, Neirea is incredibly lucky that he had 2 1-drops in hand, because he had to hero power the Mana Worm. If the only other thing that could be in his hand to make this turn powerful is a buff. So without that, he needed the 2 1s, because it's just what playing 1/2 drop in hero powering was never going to be good enough.
Yeah. Also, as well, quite nice for Neirea. He does have the Scalebane just locked and loaded, ready to go for next turn, and a wide enough board for it to be relevant as well. Also, this Creeper's just getting cheaper and cheaper by the second. One of the benefits of playing Creeper in, like, a deck this minion focus, similar to Rogue, right? Like, almost everything in your deck is minions.
Oh, man.
So
I mean,
stuff's going to die.
It's just in any aggressive matchup, Corridor Creeper is just nuts. You get it down on the board so early. Even against Mage, you'd think that Mage just uses burn spells over and over again, but the early game for Mage really is minion dominated, and that Corridor Creeper is only getting better and better every single day.
What Neirea's got here. Suddenly, the Scalebane might not feel too great. Might want to go wider and actually just get the Worm and the Corsair along with the hero power to clear up this Valet, just to protect this mole a little bit.
Yeah, it's not the worst. Like, obviously, 4-1 feels a bit miserable because you're just asking for a ping. You've also got the secret to contend with. But, you know, the Corridor Creeper will come down for 0 eventually. Has Neirea played patches this game already?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, we're about to find out.
No,
there it is.
he has not.
and I think for me as well, it's the fact that if the ping happens, which you're expecting it to, 3 mana is actually a good number for the mage to get some work done as well. It's not like asking them to ping on 4.
To contest a 5-5?
Well, even if they get, a secret down, then maybe their next turn's stronger and they've developed a secret. They can normally do something decent, as opposed to just having a 2-mana really reduces what.
But and it's not a vanilla 5-5, it's a Cobalt Scalebane, right? Sure. Like, if they ping your 4-1, you're giving them 3 mana to make a play that makes them feel good against a Cobalt Scalebane. I don't think that's easy to do. I do think this play is stronger overall, because Scalebane just continues to be good over the coming turns.
Yeah, the board gets wider.
Yeah. By the way, Jay picked up Blizzard off the Primordial Glyph. I was talking about Frost Nova, which I don't think he's playing in his deck. But, Blizzard, reasonable substitute, especially when you pull it off Glyph, because it's only 1 mana more expensive. It can give you that lockout turn that he can pair with the Luneth to really start throwing some burn through. It's also a great answer to, by far and away, the single best card in Aggro Druid, Living Mana.
Well, it's also just good to allow...
Corridor Creeper.
Corridor.
It just allows Dr. J to get back onto the board, right? Like, he can play Kirin Mage and the Blizzard together later on, or Blizzard plus a minion. Neirea's minions then can't attack into Dr. J's minions, so in theory, the minion he puts on the board can then deal that little bit of extra face damage.
I was wondering this turn from Jay, is there whether he Frostbolted instead, and actually, just played Intellect or something, because then that kind of sets up, outside of a buff, the Worm to die, the Corridor Creep, sorry, to die, and even at worst, with a buff, you still ping it down. But the Kirin Tor kind of does the same, because the Corridor Creep is almost certainly trading in outside of, say, a Savage Roar, and we do know that there is, in fact, the counter spell down, and Neirea will be aware of that, and so will Jay, so he knows the Savage Roar is extremely unlikely.
Going to clear up the Scalebane here. I think the other reason why Neirea chose to hold on to the Scalebane is so that he could time it on this turn exactly to punish a Luneth, if that was the play that DrJikininki really wanted to make. But the fact that the Blizzard Frostbolt was an availability there, Dr. J says, hey, buddy, you have 1 card to generate enough pressure for a Luneth to not be a good play for me. Those cards only exist as 2 copies of 1 individual card in your deck, and Neirea nailed it.
Neirea had 1 card, 1 opportunity, and this is everything he ever wanted.
He needed exactly that card.
Neirea's pretty good, huh?
Well, he was bemoaning how unlucky he was that the Scalebane buff went and made an 8-1. I'm pretty sure that draw right there makes up for it quite comfortably.
Okay.
Jay still has time, though. He did see the Power of the Wild get counterspelled, so he knows it's again it's everything's off the top now, right, for Neirea, so he knows everything is unlikely.
Yes, everything is equally unlikely and therefore also equally likely.
That is how the world works.
Can I argue with that?
You can argue with most things.
That's what I'm saying either. You can't argue with that statement. Wait,
the
paradox.
Yeah, the noise is just kind of an argument in itself.
At least for Jay, there is a Luneth and the White Rabbit to play.
The White Rabbit?
I'm late.
Is that what it's supposed to be?
I mean, that's what the rabbit says, right?
But is that the voice clip of Cabal Christopher?
Oh, yeah. You don't play with sound, right? I think she said
It feels
that.
bad, man, Soto.
It's just a confirmation.
You're just half a role player.
Well, if she doesn't, it was like a disguised toast scenario where it sounds very similar.
Okay.
So this
also
turn...
linked in with my M&M Joker.
Sure. Yeah, nice to do.
Been a long time. Sorry, Fal, go on.
I was just going to say, this turn, Dr. J is almost dead. Can he afford to play the Luneth? If he plays a Luneth, he has to trade and ping. I guess he could just a Luneth and ping, but then he can't develop the Crystal Runner. So a Luneth, Crystal Runner, and trade into a 2-2.
The problem is, if he doesn't a Luneth here, then he Firelands and hopes for a taunt. I actually don't know how likely a taunt is at the moment with the new expansion.
Now we need to do the maths on that.
But is that more reliable than needed? I don't know. That's a tough call. I feel like a Luneth gives you more chance of actually winning the game.
We had this scenario earlier with, I think, Ali, and she was in a position where she decided not to a Luneth because she could be dead to pretty specific outs if she played it. Sure. And that just left her stuck back in the same spot in the game over and over and over
right?
again. Yeah. Same spot again. She was just dead on board if she didn't make a defensive play, so she never got to play the Luneth. She never had a win condition. Dr. J got to this decision before I got to say it, but I was going to say this is different because Dr. J actually does have an out that isn't playing the Luneth, and that's just face. Because face is actually a reasonable plan there. If he goes face and gets a taunt, he's in business. If he kills a minion and gets a taunt, he still hasn't really found himself a win condition. So all things considered, I'm actually a big fan of the play that Jay made. I think all of his plays were pretty low percentage, but I think he might have found the best one.
Does he run Ice Block and Pyroblast?
I am unsure.
That's the out that I'm thinking of right now.
I want to say no.
You want to say no, but what are you saying, Raven?
Well, when I played against Ant, I don't recall seeing an Ice Block.
Oh, sure, they'll be running
So,
similar lists, yeah.
I'm guessing they're playing the same. I could be wrong. But let's find out. I was surprised in the orange match. So maybe I get surprised again.
Oh, either way, Neirea is playing around it.
It's one of those things where you have so much overkill that you're probably feeling pretty good anyway.
Lethal is set up on the board. Dr. J can't do anything about it. That's going to be the game.
This is where I would just love a rewind and replay function. So you just rewind that game, play a Luna, see what would happen. You know, obviously it doesn't change it because you made the decision in the game that counted, but just to go, okay, let's see what happens if I play a Luna. Does anything happen to get me there or not?
Yeah, well, that would be incredible, but I think equally impossible. So...
Why would it be impossible?
Well, you'd have to... Oh,
there are functions in games that already do that.
I guess.
StarCraft has a resume from replay, and that's StarCraft.
Like, it'd be great if you could then go back and like recheck every single decision, but the thing is, you'd have to allow for the counterplay, right? Like, you'd have to somehow know what your opponent would do.
You'd do it with someone else, right? And say, you just play the game how you play anyway. It'll never be 100% sure, unless it was the exact person, maybe. Yeah. But yeah. It would just be cool just to see, you know, what do the draws look like, how does the play look like, but most importantly, it is going to be Neirea. That is 1-0 in this match.
Aggro Druid has actually been pretty successful. Druid in general has performed very, very well, and it's not the J Druid that we've been used to seeing, really. I think a few players who were featured primarily on the B stream were bringing J Druid. J Druid was big in your group, right? That was played on the B stream, but primarily it's been Aggro Druid and various iterations of Big Druid that we've been seeing on the mainstream, and they've both been killing it.
Yeah, I will say Semph has J Druid though.
That's true.
So you know, and he's done very well.
It's funny because I was just downstairs and I was kind of overhearing a conversation between Tice and Kalento. I couldn't hear everything they were saying, but Tice definitely said that he doesn't think Aggro Druid is a good deck right now.
Wait, Tice has multiple personality disorder?
I was wondering where to go with that, Joe, but you beat me to it.
I mean, I made the joke earlier to them. I said, I think I'm seeing double, and they weren't very impressed. So.
They generally aren't, no. They're not big fans of that meme, I will say.
And that just makes it funny.
It does, yeah. Guys, pro tip, if you want a meme to go away, just lean into it and start doing it yourself, and then it just becomes cringy, and everyone gets sick of doing it because you're in on the joke, and then it disappears.
Anyways, the point I was trying to make is that Aggro Druid being a strong deck isn't necessarily universally agreed upon right now.
Okay.
I just didn't hear their reasoning, unfortunately.
Okay.
Which would have been helpful.
I can see it.
I can dig it.
It's, I mean, I really got punished at, what was it, DreamHack, right? Where I was just saying I have, like, zero faith in Aggro Druid. And then suddenly, like, everyone with Aggro Druid, like, qualified out of the Swiss, so...
And won the tournament.
Well, not everyone won the tournament.
It was a team effort of Aggro Druid.
Sure.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a deck that I really have not had a great deal of faith in whatsoever since Innovate became Counterfeit Coin.
Sure. Mole Man, though. The guy helps.
Hans Moleman.
See, that's weird. Because for some things you say, like, man.
Right.
But for Moleman, you say man.
Right. Because Vincent's, the BoJack character's name is Vincent Adultman. That's how they say it. But I'm pretty sure it's Hans Moleman.
It's Hans. Oh, sorry, Hans.
I mean, is it Hans or Hans? I have no
You're really into BoJack right now, Soto, right?
Well, the Hans one's Simpsons, right?
Yeah.
It's the guy who looks like a mole in The Simpsons.
Right.
It's a great name. It's very relevant.
Guy gets hit and groined by football. A classic film of our time.
Well, Coin into Living Mana is also a classic play of our time too, especially when Neirea has a second Living Mana to follow up with. So, you know, an absolute worst case scenario, even if this board is dealt with, he has the guaranteed refill. Whether it's good enough against the Spreading Plague is a completely different question we have to ask ourselves.
I was going to say, you know what's better than dealing with this board?
Not
dealing with it, just leaving your opponent with no mana crystals, yeah.
I'm a big fan of 35 points of taunt.
He can't get it though, right?
Well, it depends how Neirea chooses to
Sure,
trade.
sure, yeah.
But yeah.
More than likely can't get it.
Right. He could kill off 2 minions into the 3/3 to like super play around it, but he has the 1/4 taunt in the way, which means these Jades can't trade off anyway. So it's not full value for the spreading plague, but it's still disastrous if Dr. J has it.
Ooh. I was wondering, do you have a Malfurion in that turn?
No.
Nope, you're always spreading plague here. It just gives Neirea this impossible
Sure.
turn.
I mean, you're 3 taunts down, right? If you Malfurion.
Oh.
But you're also five armor up, and then you can spreading plague the turn after and hero power.
Yeah, but
but it is a risk.
This is the danger, right?
Yes,
like
yeah,
if you only play the 2 taunts and he has the Mark of the Lotus in his hand, then you actually take damage, right? And then the minions are bigger for when your second spreading plague comes down. There's a chance you take damage again. You're not in the business of taking damage in this matchup if you can avoid it.
Two health is a real problem here.
Yeah.
Jay just did go straight for Malfurion initially and then just stopped and went, whoa, let me just look at the turn.
Remember when Primordial Drake was a card?
I mean, big
Still
druid.
is. Yes, in the big
It
druid.
still is, but not one in Dr. J's hand.
No.
Yeah, he's going to go for the Ire instead to try and build a board of his own without using the Malfurion. Malfurion is a little bit slow because you also want to get to the point where the second you're not dead in any given turn and the trades haven't happened, you just kill him with Jades, right?
Yeah.
You need to actually turn the corner at some point. You can't just defend forever because you won't make it.
Agreed.
Cheeky little poison spine.
Makes poison, man. Interesting.
I love the way everything's man, even though it's just blatantly not humanoid in any way.
He is going to take a long walk into the short cliff that is Malfurion hero power, though. This poison is not going to pay off whatsoever.
I think Neirea probably guessed that Malfurion just wasn't there. Because of the Ire play into the Jade, right? You know, maybe a natural inclination. As we saw Jade do at the start when he hovered over it instantly, was like, I have Malfurion, it makes taunts, I'm against aggro druid. You know, that just makes sense. And Neirea could have said, oh, well, yeah, Malfurion's one of, he probably doesn't have it because he played Ire against aggro druid instead. But really good recognition from Jay, because look at the power swing on the board now.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of hitting him for 15.
Yeah. This is what I meant, like, you need to create a swing potential where next turn, whenever the aggro druid has to trade down a Jade druid board, well, you've already won as the Jade druid.
Yeah.
The aggro druid just doesn't know it yet.
In
but
fact,
Neirea knows it now.
He does know it.
Yeah.
Dr. J takes the win there. Jade Druid can still do some stuff.
As Raven learned, much to his chagrin this tournament.
Didn't see it coming. Didn't face it once on ladder yet in the expansion.
Jade Druid? I don't think I have.
I think I have faced it literally once.
Yeah, I've not faced it once. And
Yeah.
then the worst part was, when I played against it and saw the list, I was like, oh, okay, Jade Druid. And then suddenly there's like, branching paths and other thing. I was like,
Yeah.
what? I thought they just locked in the old Jade Druid list and was like, yeah, I'm just going to go. But anyway, speaking of Jade Druid, we've got another one. Jay still on his, of course, Neirea.
All right, it's
Quest Mage.
Quest Mage.
So, Raven, I know this is your favorite deck, so Falcon and I will just go grab a drink. You can solo cast this one, you know?
No problem.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we were just caught getting drinks, so I don't think we can get away with that one.
So, Raven, I know this is your favorite deck. Falcon and I will just go grab something to eat, and then you can solo cast this.
We had pizza together earlier, so I know you.
Well, I haven't eaten. Bye, guys.
And the worst part is, don't say you're going to go to the toilet, because I've got an answer for that as well.
Tough crowd.
Okay, so yeah, this quest mage I think has been it's up for discussion among the players quite often. I've heard some players say it's actually just terrible and it's a bad idea, but Neirea is playing to make it through to tomorrow. So
I mean,
it gets work done in some aspect. I think my question is it more than just I am counter picking you to get my one win in last hero standing?
So, I believe this was true as of the last time I checked HS replay data, but as of that time, this was the statistically worst deck in Hearthstone that had a large enough sample size to be, counted in the stats. I That's for ladder, though. Ladder is not tournament play. And when you bring a deck like this to tournament play, you are trying to do something very specific with it. I see it having a home as a conquest deck, for sure. As a last hero standing deck, though, I'm not a huge believer in it. And I made this point, I think, on day one. I see it as a 0.8 win deck and not a 1.2 win deck. And that's what you want your last hero standing lineup to be. You want it to be full of decks that win more than one game on average. I think Quest Mage sometimes loses the decks that you queue in to try and snipe. You know, the priests, the Jade Druids, those kind of things. They can beat Quest Mage. It can happen. Quest Mage can beat itself. But however, as soon as you run into just a super aggressive aggro deck, you lose.
I agree.
That was a really long-winded
It
explanation,
was,
wasn't
yeah.
it? Yeah.
Taking notes out of my book.
It makes sense, though. Like, you'd like it if your counter deck had the 100% win rate against the deck it was countering. That's never going to be the case in Hearthstone, but there are just some tools that can be pulled out of the bag that just lock down the Quest Mage.
It would also make Last Hero Standing an absolutely terrible format.
Right,
if decks were 100% against
But
each
like,
other.
there can be a random Eater of Secrets. Obviously, Dirty Rats can shut down this deck.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually running Eater of Secrets for my lineup.
Oh, you're an
Oh,
idiot.
Raven.
Only one, but...
Did you speak to Lorinda about that?
Why would I speak to to hear what not to like? What he thinks the exact opposite of what I think is correct? No, I didn't. I wouldn't go to Lorinda for lineup advice anyway, because I'm sure he's been playing Hearthstone. I'm sure he plays just a different game, and he's calling the cards and the decks the same, right?
In our like caster group that we have, where we're like we discuss meta games and just casting things and just life the universe and everything.
We're good friends sometimes.
Neil pops up and is like, oh yeah, like the most common deck in the game is like aggro beast priest or something. And you're just like, what are you talking about? And then the thing is, he screenshots his match history, and it's actually true.
I swear he's been learning Photoshop.
9 of the last 10 games are against a deck that no one else has played against the entire meta.
You think Neil's been learning Photoshop? Have you seen his new Twitter header?
No, he's really clever. He's playing the long game. he really is going all in, not knowing he's just photoshopping these results. But yeah, I wouldn't go to him for deck advice. That's no offense to Neil, but we don't agree on anything. So back to this game, though. Second Cold Light is going to come down and just heavily cycle through this deck for Neirea. And also cycle through the deck for Dr. J as well. One thing that is a little bit scary as well is, I think I was talking with Jay about this earlier, is that the double branching paths play, if you have a board, sometimes just kills your opponent when they're not expecting it. It's actually really... You can pick +1 attack to all minions twice per branching paths.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's more damage than like one Savage Roar on a huge board, for example. Like obviously it's very expensive in its 2 cards, but it's a huge amount of burst.
Yeah, and the problem is Freeze Mage has to go through the motion of how much damage is on board. Can I take that much damage? No, then freeze. If he thinks yes, and then the burst comes out, well, the answer was actually no, you just weren't aware of it.
Just the fact that it's permanent damage as well is just ridiculous.
But look at this, like, how much was that? Like 12, 14 extra damage this turn?
12, yeah.
Yeah.
4 mana, deal 12 damage?
Oh, no, only 10, because he played the Jade Spirit in the
Oh, it was only 10 damage? Never mind, that was
yeah,
trash then.
Terrible card.
4 mana, deal 10. But you're not only dealing 10, you're doing all the minion damage anyway, and demanding a response from Neirea now. This has gone past the point of now, oh, well, can I get away with this turns with No, you can't. You have to freeze now to survive.
Double Mind Blast is 4 mana, 10 damage. I know how much you love that card, Celso.
Mind Blast?
Yeah.
I don't mind Mind Blast. It's good.
You don't mind Blast?
I don't mind Blast Mind.
Wait, what? Huh? Flames Striker?
Can't play it this turn, though.
Might have a choice in terms of just going for it anyway and just trying to freeze it out. He does have the Frost Nova. And he has the second one. And now, Jay's in a bit of an awkward spot where he can't develop any minions. He's gone fully wide, but now he just does nothing but double swipe. That's actually pretty big. He can get 3 damage in this time, and next turn he can try and prot the block.
Yep.
There is only the one secret down, just to remind you guys at home. Oh, no, I can't. It's the wrong PC.
I can do it.
Because that would be overpowered. if it just wouldn't be a secret. I tried to, so I'm on the Racing Spectator PC, and I was like, I'll just hover over my opponent's secret to see what it is.
Well, you're right. It just wouldn't be a secret.
You'd be playing against Secret Mages, just like like message a friend. Is like, hey, can you spectate me real quick and find out what this Mage's secret is?
Pavel would be chuffed.
Yeah.
He'd gotta play the game then.
Yeah. This is still a lot of damage though, and suddenly, where's he at now? Oh, this Flame Strike does a good job, to be fair.
It does, but is there any way Neirea can put a stop to the hero power double swipe play? I don't think there is.
Not without the Kabbalist Tome, like having Frostbolt base or something, and that's an awfully big risk, because if you miss, then you Nova, and then you're in the same spot the turn after, but with 3 less health.
But there you go, Dr. J is able to pop this Ice Block right now on 2.
This is it. Jade Druid, guess what? Good deck. Sometimes gets it.
And Neirea is just not even close. Like, how many cards does he have left for a start?
8 in his hand. 10 in the deck.
10 left, and like he's so far away from the tools that he needs to get there.
And also, like, yeah, no, that's the key, right? Not even remotely close. 0 Sorcerer's Apprentice in hand.
0 Antonidas, no apprentices, apart from the 2 Molten Reflections that need a base reflection to go off in the first place.
And most importantly as well, 0 memes.
Yeah.
At the moment, which I feel Quest Mage needs quite a lot of.
What, no Deck of Wonders, for example?
Not yet.
There's still time. The game is still, well, it's not really young. It's almost over.
And now even Aya as well is going to be nice.
It is still winnable, though.
That's the scary thing.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I mean, Kabbalist Tome into another Ice Block, and he draws the Apprentice this turn, for example, is one way that I can see he can win.
If he draws the Apprentice now, does he... Yeah, he just has to go off, right? I don't think he has the mana to play Simulacrum as well.
That's a problem.
What's the problem?
The fact that he's only 2 out of 6 as well.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and 4 cards in hand, Flame Strike, Dragon's Fury, and Blizzard.
Yeah, and they're not cheap either, so he'd need cheap outcomes from the Kabbalist Tome.
Oh, okay, well, that's game.
That's game. GG.
Did you see Jay? Jay was like, come on! Just like almost shouting at Neirea. Not that he can hear, because there's actually a glass wall between these 2 players. So.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's not glass, maybe it's that person.
It is a fist pump moment, though, isn't it? When your opponent burns his Antonidas.
Look at him just stare at the camera.
It does feel good.
Oh, yeah. Well, you've just won the counter pick.
Yeah.
Like, that's when you.
And this is
when life is great.
This is what Soto was saying earlier. Like, sometimes the Quest Mage just can't win the deck it's supposed to win.
Yeah, going into the next game, and it is Jade Druid versus Warlock. And this is rough. This, I found, has to be, like, exactly twisting Nether into your Gul'dan, and your opponent didn't go, like, 7, 8, 9 Jade in that between turn.
Well, let me tell you a story, Raven. The reason Dr. J is in this match and not already out of the group, qualified out of the group, out of the right end of the group, is that he lost with Jade Druid to Control Warlock in the previous series before this. And it was Rin on 6. He never drew a Jade Idol.
Oof.
And he did not know his opponent played N'Zoth. The combination of those 3 factors apparently just destroyed him. He couldn't get enough Jade pressure to stop just seal. And then even when the deck was destroyed and he was trying to find a win condition, he tried to push with his last few Jades, or just N'Zoth hit and ended the game.
Yeah. That's rough.
Mm-hmm.
Won't fall for it again, though, I imagine.
Well, no, in theory, he should be much better suited to win the matchup this time around.
It's a little bit scary, though, because although Rogue is a good deck...
And here's the scars. Here, there exactly is the scar of what happened to him last time. He does not play that Jade Idol because he wants to make sure he always has one in his hand.
Yep.
Dr. J is like literally Batman in this matchup,
right.
And he's seen what Superman did to the world in fighting General Zod, and he's not letting it happen again. He's here to stop Neirea, who's effectively Superman. He's going to ask him if he bleeds.
All right, Mr. DC.
Wow, just seen Batman vs Superman. I would carry on with the Justice League jokes, but I don't think everyone's seen it, so it'll be pointless.
I still don't really understand this Elise thing in Control Warlock right now.
There are many cards I would like to play in Warlock that aren't Elise.
Yeah.
Was it RDU that was playing it first in this tournament?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I know very early on, I'm not 100% sure, but I know Sifka was playing Elise in Warlock as well. And Sifka, I think, was one of the first plays I saw, do like the lackey into Void Lord sort of play. Because it's Sifka, right? You know, like super slow, controlled, drawn-out matchup.
Yeah.
And he loves Elise. Oh.
That's not common in these Warlock decks.
It is.
Wait, it is?
It's common in these builds, yeah. I still don't understand it.
I mean, we saw it in RDUs as well. I mean, they're G2 teammates. It makes sense.
Oh,
that
that's true. It
playing,
burned the Jade Idol, didn't it?
They're playing the same deck. But yeah, I wouldn't go as far as to call it common.
It was on one of the most popular lists on Just Replay.
Well, that's...
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I stand
It was
corrected.
one of the highest Warlock lists like 2 days ago.
Okay.
Days ago.
I stand corrected, sir.
This is the type of matchup where I guess Gnome Feratu is relevant as well, because the Druid does often get 2 fatigue.
Yeah, that's I actually asked a few of the players, like, could just someone explain to me why Gnome Feratu's in the deck? Because to me, Plated Beetle is just a better card.
Yep.
But the idea was, if you're playing the super late game Warlock, then you will hit a matchup where it can go late, and then the Gnome Feratu can contribute to the overall fatigue counter. But I was like, I think I still want to play Plated Beetle. I like that card.
You're playing the class with life tap, though. That's my counter argument to that. How often are your other opponents pushing ahead of you in fatigue when you're playing Warlock?
Don't shoot the messengers.
Okay, I mean, what I will say is that in this matchup, it potentially has an impact because there's counterplay on counterplay on counterplay, right? We see Jace holding on to a Jade Idol because he doesn't want his deck to get blown up. So if his deck gets blown up, he just shuffles Jade Idols back in, draws from his deck, plays Jade Idols, shuffles Jade Idols back in. He just has the infinite deck that he wants. It's the perfect Jade Druid deck at that point. But because Gnome Feratu is in Neirea's deck, Jay actually has to keep both. Oh, sorry, 2 copies of Jade Idol in his deck at the end. After the deck has been blown up, he then has to keep 2 copies in there, so Gnome Feratu cannot burn them. And actually, if Neirea's deck is the same as RDU's, there's 2 Gnome Feratus in there. So it just becomes an enormously unwinnable mess at that point.
Right.
It gets really weird, yeah.
Well, it's fine if Dr. J can get like a huge Fandral turn off late and shuffle a bunch of them in his deck while also summoning a bunch of them.
That would be ideal.
If he can end up shuffling something like 9 Jade Idols in at once, then the Gnome Feratus aren't really relevant anymore.
That's asking to hold on to a lot of stuff, though. That's the
It
point,
is.
right?
It is.
And there's also the game plan of, can you just kill them before Rin's even a card?
Yes,
Path.
I mean,
you know what I mean? Like
95% of the time, yes, you can. I mean, I spoke to Dr. J, and that's how I had this story about how he lost the last series. He was baffled at the fact that he just couldn't generate enough J pressure to stop seal. But he just couldn't. He didn't get a strong J draw. He said that like by the time the seal was played, he had like 4/4 Jades or something. Like, how does that happen?
Well, let's see if he dodges it well enough this time. He is onto it pretty well. You know, now he's on 14 here, and you know, even if Rin gets played, well, next turn can't be Seal because this is the way you beat Rin to a large extent. Is you put so much pressure on them that Seal is either uncastable or just a punish.
Yeah.
And then even if they blow up your deck, we saw it I think day 1, where the oh god, I keep forgetting Araza. Is that? Azari, that's sorry. Keep forgetting.
Devourer of Worlds.
Yeah, the idea is because it's just a 10-10 no taunt.
Yeah.
Put your opponent in the position that if they play it, they die.
Yeah.
Or they just take too much damage, you know. And that's the sort of weird sort of cat and mouse you have to play if you can put yourself in that position.
But that's where Voidwalker Adult Man comes into play, right? Because that thing is 2 turns worth of taunt. Essentially, right? So it comes down 1 turn, they can't get through it, then you slam the 10-10 behind it, and you still have residual taunt left over from the Void Lord.
Still pretty hard to set up, though.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because a lot of the time as well, the turn then that's +1 turn, because the last seal is still 5 mana.
Yeah.
You can't play the Void Lord.
No.
So then it's another turn to play the Void Lord. The Void Lord can't die.
Right.
And then it's another turn to play the World Eater of Worlds.
World Eater of Worlds. Good job, Raven.
That sounds like
Why wasn't
something...
it called Galactus?
I'm glad you
Galactus
listened
Hero.
to me last time.
Galactus would have been a sweet name for that card.
That does sound like something Lorinda would call that card while having a senile moment.
So
every
just
day
a
then,
moment.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Lorinda.
We love you, Neil.
So Rin's come down now. Again, Branching Path is a threatening card. And also, I've been so impressed with the Druid spells.
Well impressed.
I've been well impressed, mate, with the Druid spells, though.
Oh, we're getting a bit British here.
I think it's a bit more mank, that, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know.
I'd never say it.
I've never heard you two say mate.
No.
Unless you're taking the mick out of me.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? That's why I mean it's more of a northern thing, I guess.
I do say fam occasionally.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
I feel like you say it ironically, though.
Most of the time.
Yeah, so it's acceptable.
Mm.
Because you know it's wrong. As long as I know you know, it's fine. And this is a lot of Jades. So you did get the thing done, Falk. Get the Jade cycled in.
Yeah, well...
Obviously, the Demon's still available to blow up the deck because there's a lot of Jades in there.
Yeah.
But most importantly, Jay's just saying, let's not just get to, 18 turns worth of seals.
Well, it's like you said before. It's just all about the pressure now.
Well, Jay is probably deciding this is the mistake that he made last time, right? Where he tried to make sure he was holding enough back so that he could refill his deck afterwards, and because of that, just didn't have enough pressure to stop it from happening. Yeah. So this time, he's just going much more aggressive. Like, you were talking about branching paths being an aggressive push. You can also just use it to draw to and just really start the Jade Idol engine going.
Speaking of which, there we go. Also, it'd be cool if you played a Seal and then Seal played. Huh? Every time you played one. It'd be so funny. I don't think they get the rights for that, though.
Probably not, no.
I'm gonna tweet Seal and see if we bought him.
Or it just made seal noises every time.
That's better. I prefer that. Yeah, that's good.
No, I prefer Seal. Just want to hear the lovely music.
Who doesn't want to be kissed from a rose?
It'll be so funny, just every time you play.
All right.
Baby!
And then you just play two a turn. It's just repeat. Oh, God.
Looked like Dr. J was going to go for the branching paths there, and buffing all of these 1/5s into 3/5s doesn't seem that bad.
Well, it doesn't matter this turn, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't like you're not playing around Shadow Word Horror. He either twistings or he doesn't. One way or the other, the attack matters next turn, not this turn. So I think this is fine.
That's true. It's unlikely these Voidwalkers start trading, and...
God.
Oh, Defile is interesting. It's 4 damage without having done anything, so Neirea just needs to ping one of these 1/5s with the Mortal Coil, and that's an easy clip.
Oh, no, you just poke one.
Oh, poke one, yeah.
You just poke a 1/3 into a 1/5.
Just poke one?
Boop. It was funny before. I was playing Warlock downstairs, and then Sol just appears over my shoulder. I do this like weird Defile turn and leave a Void Lord up. It's like, oh yeah, you could have done this, but I didn't want to interrupt you because the turn, even the worst version that I did, was still weird.
Yeah.
Kind of hard.
Right.
And then we talked about it, and we were like, oh yeah, that actually would have worked out better, but the turn was kind of awkward, the rope was burning. And afterwards we went, yeah, Defile's a hard card to play.
It really is.
It's like...
It's one of my favorite cards in Hearthstone, and Dead Man's Hand being another one, because these cards just take... These 2-mana cards take so much thinking to play at the exact right time and in the right way.
And there's often a large difference between a good Defile and a great Defile.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's often like, oh, well, you got the job done to, oh my God, how did they clear that
And
board?
very frequently, when trying to do a great Defile, players this tournament have done terrible Defiles.
Beep, beep. There we go. That'd be so funny. If only.
So, I'm looking at 2 Jade Golems here.
And a big elephant as well.
Yep, big elephant, little spirit. Oh, gonna go with the Blossom instead.
But I guess you're not talking about the elephant in the room.
What's the elephant in the room? The behemoth? What?
Yes, it was. Here comes Blood Reaver Gul'dan. Blood Reaver Gul'dan. There we go. Gonna come down now, and that's just a whole lot of Voidwalkers. Oh, he got the one Void. I actually thought that was just all Voidwalkers.
Yeah, it wasn't possible, right? It's like there's only 6, and because this one was like loaded in weirdly behind the animation. I was like, hang on,
wait,
the game's bugged. Where's the Void Lord?
So I think Jay, with this wild growth and 2 branching paths, can afford to, I'm going to say overcommit. Overcommitting's never a good thing, but can afford to force the nether, I'll say, actually.
Yeah.
Because he has so much card draw. There's approximately 1,000 Jade Idols in the deck. Mm-hmm. So he can recover from a nether, but he needs to force the nether out, which is very difficult to avoid, Lord. So I think he can just say, you know what? I'll play like 2 more Jades, maybe just the Spirit this turn, and say, right, 6/6, 7/7, 8/8, and the 2 side minions.
That Arcane Tyrant's been really awkward this game.
It has. Yeah, Nourish and the Nourish and UI turns just haven't happened.
Oh, wait, does he just shuffle it tomorrow? Yeah, because of not having UI? No. No, he doesn't. Still holds on to 1, though, so now he has a 10, 10, 11, 11 next turn, if so required. He can even actually shuffle the idol, double draw, and still play the Jade.
Yeah, so the problem with this is he slow played a little bit to keep a Jade in his hand, like you're talking about. But he's still just contesting a bunch of taunts, like minion for minion, right? So you don't even necessarily have to nether this turn, because you're not taking damage. These minions are just clashing with taunts.
These are some pretty thick green men, though.
But I think the benefit here is you can effectively, as Jade, pass next turn.
Okay.
So, like, you just trade them all in.
That's not in your favor, because your opponent is playing Seals in the meantime.
Is it only on 3? Fuck.
It is... Yeah, it's the third Seal.
Yeah, so even if he goes 3-4, which is fine, but he has to nether next turn, right?
Yes.
So if he double seals, goes 3-4, and then you trade, then nether happens, then he has 5 and 6. But in that turn, you do the whole thing where you make a billion Jades, and if he plays the 10-10, you win.
Sure.
I wish there was just that attack all void walk.
Just hit everything to face button.
But they just need to gang up and attack as one, like, one punch void walk. Ooh, not the master.
Neirea did choose to Siphon on that turn. Obviously, he didn't commit the Nether. I think Nether would have been a massive overreaction. Did choose to Siphon instead of just slamming Seals. And part of the reasoning behind that is there's a few cards that you're scared of. Both Wraths were cycled, so he's not worried about those. But obviously, Swipe you just saw come into hand, and perfect timing, Malfurion Hero Power. That means that the biggest Jade is then allowed to attack through to face, and you take a huge chunk.
And that's the whole thing you're trying to avoid, right? Any of these Jades get through now, that is a serious problem, right? And that's why it always feels a little bit scary. So now, just taking the safe route, but here's more and more Jades, and now Jade can have the maybe a slightly slower turn next turn with the Malfurion, but he could even go, this is presuming the Nether comes down, let's say, but he could even go Malfurion and think about poison.
Yeah, I could see it.
Just to say, no to any minions that play them. Maybe make Neirea think about what he has to play. He still has N'Zoth in hand.
They are very easy to deal with, though, because of Defile, right?
Yeah, you're just wondering what the follow-up is from Neirea if he has to play a removal card. Probably quite meek.
Yeah, just a seal most of the time.
Maybe.
This matchup is significantly closer than I thought it was, though. Ali and Semclass had a really tough game in this matchup as well, and Dr. J just isn't quite finding a way to put this damage through the face just yet. N'Zoth's going to bring back those Void Lords, and Neirea can survive for a very long time.
Yeah, Warlock is really, 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 really good, guys.
I think...
Did you notice?
I think for me, the matchup, this one specifically, like bounces on a knife's edge. If someone slips up once, the game just ends to a large extent. Because, if there's a way for Jade to get...
Look at this Defile.
We have seen some huge Defile misplays. But that was lovely.
Oh.
I thought you guys said, and that was the biggest. Like, whoa! Calm down, Sol. We're all mates.
That was Neirea.
Yeah, that was a...
Coiled his own dude to make the 2, traded his other 1-attack minion in to take the other breakpoint, defiles away the whole board, saves a Twisting Nether. That's huge.
That Defile deserves at least one Craigasm per viewer in the chat.
I agree.
That's pretty good. But now, those are 2 awfully large Jade men.
We're saying thick now. Ant doesn't like large green men.
What about the
and he does,
oh my God,
definitely doesn't like big druid.
What's the sweet corn guy?
The sweet Jolly Green Giant?
That's it, yeah. That's a large green man. Oh, look, a Jade idol.
No way.
Are going to be double draws?
Has he drawn Ultimate Infestation yet?
Nope.
He's definitely running it, right?
Yeah.
So, guys, I've got this sick druid deck, right? It doesn't run Ultimate.
But it runs Arcane Tyrant, though.
We play around people thinking you're going to play Ultimate Infestation and you're trying to prepare for it.
Tice's Big Druid doesn't run Ultimate Infestation, right?
It runs a lot of extra stuff, though.
Yeah, of course.
And you don't. Do you need to? You don't need to run a 10 mana generate a 5/5 when you have like a 8 mana generate 15 billion worth of power on the board. That deck is unfair. In a fun kind of way, I guess. And now this feels awkward. Jay's got the Jades to the point where he can just play 2 and be like, well, you're dead next turn if you don't do anything. And guess what? You can only run 2 Twisted Nethers in any given Warlock deck.
Yeah, and this is the difference from the story that Jay told me about what he was doing wrong and this game. This game, he did not live in fear. He just said, I am going to make my J count as huge as I possibly can, and that way I never give you a turn to play a seal.
Baby. Every time. Yeah, this is actually, to be fair, in what's quite tricky, very, very quickly learned from Jay. To be like, from what you told me at least, this is night and day in terms of how this played out for him. So we'll see if it's enough though, because N'Zoth is also an awfully good card.
Yeah, and that's the other card that Dr. J was saying destroyed him.
3 Void Lords.
Yeah.
Even with the Poisonous Spiders.
Poison is huge, though.
Oh, yeah. That's a Void Lord dead each time. Only 1 Void Walker spawns from each one.
Also, I actually don't think Jay will be too upset about seeing the Mistress and Mixtures, right? He's okay with this healing.
Yeah.
Neirea's already on full health, and Jay's actually relatively low, so this is only a benefit for him at this point.
He is running out of draw effects. I actually think a good chunk of his remaining 2 cards are...
Jade Idols.
Well, no, because have we seen the UIs yet?
Is he not running UI? Is that ever a thing?
Sure,
I mean, there are only 2 cards left, and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have just played his last Jade Idol.
But Arcane Tyrant, why would you run that card without Ultimate Infestation?
Nourish.
Just for Nourishes?
That seems terrible.
It does seem terrible.
Spreading Plague as well, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Wait. Maybe only 1 UI?
Well, it's going to get milled.
Nomu, Feratu. Oh, head in hands a little bit here from Jay. This is stressful. He's played it so much better than he did last time, but if it's not enough, it's not enough. And this is the extent. There's still a pack in Neirea's hand. Neirea's on 0 damage. I think if he clears these Jades one more time, he's feeling pretty good, but he might not even bother and actually just try and go aggressive now, because this is the knife's edge again, right? You can't kill these minions with what you have. Do you just go face and hope that the 3 taunts are enough?
And I will tell you one thing for sure. I bet Neirea has a much better idea what those last 2 cards are than we do.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's take a look at the first one. It's Maya
Maya
Keeper.
Keeper.
Okay. Does that mean there's no Jade Idols left?
There has to be.
No, there has to be. So there is no UI.
I can't believe that Jay would have just YOLO'd his last Jade.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't believe it. Maybe it's happened. Maybe I'm shocked. We're going to find out next time on Dr. Jay's Next Turn.
I know I've mentioned Lorinda a lot during this cast, but he's a big fan of the Jade Druid. And he was just talking in our group chat earlier about how he feels like it's favored against some of the best decks in Hearthstone at the moment.
Did he need a UI-less Jade Druid, though?
Is this just evidence to the contrary, though? Like, Warlock has done a surprisingly good job. It is Ultimate Infestation.
He YOLO'd out his last Jade? So he's just dead?
Who needs Azari the Devourer, I guess? There's a lot of confusion going on the casting sofa right now.
I'm actually more just seeing if there's a way out here. He can trade in the Mistress, say Hero Power it down, but he probably needs to connect with one of these. He can't because he'll die. So you can swipe Hero Power. That clears 2. That 3rd Void Walker. Mistress puts him to 14. He's got to take 1 of Fatigue next.
Yeah, you just swipe the Mistress, right?
Yeah.
And then you 17 him in the face.
Yeah.
17 him in the face. It's not something you get to do every day.
Wait. Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Could have actually 33'd him in the face, but it wasn't quite enough.
Nope.
Wow, that was close.
Shows the fine margin, though, right? I'm suspecting a UI got cast this game and we've forgotten about it, by the way. That's my theory.
Probably.
Neirea is piloting this matchup expertly, though. There's no way the Warlock should be doing this well.
Right, so what can you do to actually survive here? Kalimos does nothing. His Elise pack does nothing except trade with one of the minions, right? Because he has the Devil Saw. So Devil Saw hero power kills one. He can kill off the 17. Because it doesn't matter, right? Because of the way it's 11, 11, and 12. He may as well kill the 17. So he has 7.
How big is his Spellstone? I'm assuming it's a 7 by now, right? It's been in his hand.
I'd hope so. Although the Hellfire's still there.
It's 3.
It's still 3?
Spellstone's
Okay,
a
he
3.
must have drawn it late. Sure.
Yeah, so he kills off the 17 because it's the same amount of damage he has to put in anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that's now 31.
No Void Lords left.
But Jay can't ultimate infestation. Jay kind of has lethal.
Wait, isn't it a tie?
Well, yeah, he has to solve right now whether he wins this game or not. And if he loses, he takes the tie.
So he takes, sorry, what was that? 2 fatigue next turn?
Yeah, he takes 2, 3, 4, 5. He's dead. If he UIs.
Yeah, I'm saying if he doesn't, how much damage is he actually going to, you know, what's he died to if he doesn't, right? Because that's question number 1.
And the problem is this is a really hard set of permutations for Dr. J to run because it's not a pure, it's not a pure fatigue situation. If every card was drawn and both players were fatiguing, that's solvable. But now you have to account for cards that have not yet been played, like Siphon Soul, that could still be in the bottom of the deck.
Oh, man. I think Jay is going to regret not going for that draw. Now it's too late. 15 plus 5 is not 25. It's 20.
No, but he doesn't die next turn, right?
He doesn't, but with the Hellfire and the Spellstone and the minion on the board, they really should be able to deal with this. I guess
Wait, the Spellstone doesn't change anything, though.
trade Hellfire Spellstone, no?
Oh, sure. I thought you meant go face Spellstone for the heal.
He's actually just dead.
He is actually just dead.
Yeah.
What a game.
With the fatigue damage, finishing it off. Oh my goodness. Jay had the chance to go for the draw there. I don't actually know what we do in the event of a draw.
Replay.
You just
We
regame.
replay?
Yeah, replay the game.
Because the different tournaments have been doing different things with that recently. Like China did both teams get the loss.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, Jay not seeming too happy about that at all.
That was a tough call. I think I would have tried to win. Then go for the...
There's so many variables, right? There's that Siphon Soul that you just lose to. So straight away, you're hoping that was in the last X cards. It wasn't many. It was like 4 or 5, right?
yeah, there's about 5 left.
Then you're taking into account the 5 random Ngoro cards. Any one of them could beat you randomly.
Which I actually think because of that you ignore.
Well, it's a factor, right? You don't ignore anything. Everything's
No, but
data.
I mean, like, because it's such, 5 cards of such a wide pool, you're like, well, do you even know the numbers or the possibilities of that even being a kill?
It's a random percentage that, well, it's a non-random percentage that you can estimate at least and put into the equation.
Just ignore it. It'll be all right.
What it is too complicated to calculate in 75 seconds.
That's what I was getting.
This is where that replay function would be great. If we could just have an analyst desk, maybe someone to go back and have a look at that game.
I mean, you can actually just work out the percentage of kills from the Elise pack, right?
Yeah.
In that turn. But yeah, anyway, let's move on. Game number 5. Yeah, of course. We're on a match point now for these guys. Playing a long series out, especially with that grueling Jade Druid versus Warlock match. And now we are on the Rogue versus Warlock. And everyone has been talking about Warlock, powerhouse of the meta at the moment, especially when Priest is in hiding. And the Rogue, we've seen it do the job, though. Rogue is also powerful, so one wrong move from the Warlock and the Rogue could just go a little bit too quick. Don't for R2.
Immediately dropped from the Swashbuckler.
Bye-bye Swampoo's. Not much of an impactful card to burn, actually.
Not in this matchup, anyway.
Probably a benefit for Neirea, to be honest.
Yeah. That's the problem with Memphoratu.
Yeah, Ooze was more or less a dead draw from his deck, so that not being a card that he draws now cycles him towards more powerful things that he needs. You know, more Spellstones, Hellfires, Defiles, those kind of things.
This is a really good matchup for Neirea. As we've seen throughout this tournament, the Warlock just frequently gets the better of these Tempo Rogues just because of the sheer amount of healing and taunt in the deck. Void Lords might actually be the best card in the expansion. Well, except for that guy.
I think just Warlock just has the support tools now, right? It is the heal that's the most important thing, I think, in Warlock now. Because they always had great AoE. They always had strong late game, but it was just, they'd just die, right? Like,
yeah.
I remember Days as Hunter, you kind of ignore what they do because you just go face and kill them. Like, it just doesn't matter. But now with the heals, it's absolutely insane.
Yeah, a lot of the historically best Control Warlock players have just said, you know, we just need kind of an anti-kill bot replacement back in the metagame, and then we'll be fine. And Blizzard went, you know what? We've kept you waiting a long time. How about 2 copies of a spell that heals you for 7, and then 2 copies of another spell that heals you for 8? And here's the kicker. That second one only costs 1 mana.
Enjoy! Yeah, it's... Oh, my God. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, Spellstone's just crazy. If Neirea wanted to, he could have just taken out that 5/5 this turn and healed for 5.
I'm a big fan of a 3/9 taunt, though.
Yeah.
And this is it, right? That very quickly got discovered that you could just cheat out a 9-mana card in this deck.
Yep.
It's actually kind of insane.
Yeah, early days, everyone was, you know, playing the Huge Monk S and various other demons. Ali was still playing that kind of build in this tournament. I think you were as well, right?
Yes, I was, yeah.
And then, honestly, it became clear around the time of deck submission for this tournament that, yeah, Void Lord's the only demon you play, and you just win.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I thought, okay, maybe there's a chance that because it's more of a fleshed out early and mid game, that you can just punch through stuff quicker. Well, 9 mana on turn 5 or 6 is pretty quick, actually. So, you know, they kind of keep up with you in that instance.
Yep. So, trade into the 5/5 and Hellfire is the play that becomes immediately apparent to me. Is there anything better than that?
Not that I can see.
You do put 3 damage onto your Void Lord, which is kind of irritating.
Do you care? I mean, I was thinking the Librarian would come down after.
Oh, this is better, right? You just Spellstone for 5 and trade into the 2/1, and then you leave your 3/9 is still there, but it still has 3 damage on it, essentially, from the SI there, but you haven't taken the Hellfire damage. You've healed for 7 instead.
I was also wondering the other way, but this does work out better. Do you just go face for 2 in Hellfire? Leave the 5/3. Just saying, well. But, yeah, this works out better in the end. And there's another Corridor Creeper, but the problem is now, DrJ's kind of out of gas at this moment in time.
Yeah.
Right.
And guess what? Neirea's got plenty more where that came from.
Yeah, Neirea's just got a handful of value and healing, and that's the major problem for DrJ.
And the flexibility as well. Hellfire, Tar Creeper, Siphon Soul, Stonehill, Dark Pact. These are all cards that do slightly different things, but do what they do very, very well.
Control Lock is just back in its prime once more, and a bunch of the players downstairs have been saying, hey, Control Lock, Hand Lock, it was my favorite deck at the time. I'm so glad to see it back. I've missed it ever since Reno.
I got laughed at for my next level meta ideas earlier.
Oh, right.
Warlock, right?
Yeah.
Control Lock.
Yep.
Instead of all this Elise malarkey. 2 Spellbreakers, 2 Sack Packs.
Sag Packs.
Yeah.
Well,
Beat the mirror every time.
given how this tournament has been, that's probably not a bad idea.
I want to go back to that last turn for Neirea real quick, because I didn't quite decide what I wanted to do that turn. The Hellfire play, again, was the play that leapt out at me straight away. But you could have also just traded the 2/1 into the 3/2, and then just played Stonehill and Tar Creeper, and said, you know what, go. Like, hit my minions, and then I'll Hellfire you next turn. And then that gave you only a gap of 1 turn between your Hellfire and your second Void Lord, which I liked about it. Clearing the board, obviously totally fine. It's just with that follow-up Hellfire now, he is kind of in the danger zone, but Rogue just doesn't really do direct damage through a taunt. It just doesn't happen.
Welcome to the danger zone.
Highway.
Same thing. It's my own version song.
We kicked DrJ out earlier for getting lyrics wrong.
I got a lot of lyrics right today.
All right.
7 health is scary, though. Ooh. Worst draw in the deck? This turn?
Yep.
Hey, this 7 mana 5/5 isn't as good as the other 7 mana 5/5.
And most importantly, this 7 mana card cannot proc the Minstrel, which means no more cards for Dr. J next turn to play. It's going to be that one slower turn than he would have expected to be, because almost any other draw would have allowed him to actually just play the Minstrel and get cycling.
Yeah, even the cards that are quite often completely dead to draw with an empty-ish hand, like Shadow Step. Like, Shadow Step let him combo the Minstrel.
That's still fine.
You just play Minstrel, Shadow Step it, you have 4 more mana to play something else that you draw.
And most importantly, because you draw 2 cards,
Yeah.
combo activates each other, right? You know, more often than not. And now Neirea is probably like, which green-colored cards would I like to play this turn? Because it probably doesn't matter.
No, there's just no comeback from Dr. J here. This dominant tempo rogue deck that's been devastating the meta for the last several months. Just, it's met his match.
But funnily enough, her play was quite limited there, because he could do it, but lacking into the Dark Pack didn't do anything because the Void Lords are already in hand, which is a little bit unfortunate. But he is edging towards just being able to play a Void Lord here. There's Leroy, though. There's Bonejack Horseman. That's a lot of damage from hand if minions can stick, but at least pretty well built. Take down most of these minions.
Most important, well, yeah, A, minions have to stick for the Bone Mare to land on. B, there has to not be a Void Lord on board. And since Neirea has 3 different cards in his hand that summoned a Void Lord this turn, now it seemed kind of unlikely.
You know, you gotta live the dream, right?
You do, yeah.
Now. Oh, Jay's been joking around that Swashbuckler can always get you something to win a game. I'll say it again, I don't think there's a card that exists, but if there is, I'm gonna be able to find it.
If Doom were 9 mana, then maybe.
Flame Imp, definitely not going to be it, and I think that's Jay accepting it's going to be done. Neirea does move on.